Commander Jake Morrison rubbed his weary eyes as streams of data cascaded across the monitor banks. The night shift at Earth Defense Station Alpha was usually uneventful, tracking space debris, monitoring communication signals from distant colonies. 8 years on this post had blurred most nights into a monotony of routine scans and maintenance logs. The coffee in his mug had long since gone cold, yet Jake sipped anyway. Its bitter sting kept him alert while the world below slept in oblivion. Through the observation deck windows, the shadow gate hung in space like a colossal crystal monolith. Silent, motionless, enigmatic, it had defied human understanding for 30 years. Dr. Lisa Warren hunched over her research station in the archaeology lab, holographic projections rotating every recorded angle of the gate. 15 years of her life were devoted to studying the alien structure, and still it held secrets that haunted her dreams. The gate, roughly the size of Earth's moon, shimmered with crystalline surfaces that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. No instruments, no methods had ever unraveled its purpose. Then, precisely at 3:15 a.m., Jake's proximity alarms whispered their first warnings. Scanning local space, he found nothing. The asteroid belt's slow orbit continued. Mining operations ran as scheduled. He nearly dismissed it as a sensor glitch, until the communication console lit with a priority transmission. Far below, President Nathan Clark was roused from sleep by his chief of staff, shaking him urgently. Pale and anxious, the aide handed over a secure tablet containing preliminary reports from Earth Defense Station Alpha. Clark had been briefed on the Shadow Gate when he assumed office, the same theories and speculation every president inherited for 30 years. Watch the gate. Be ready. Always. Back on the station, Jake watched in disbelief as energy readings surged beyond anything in his experience. The dormant gate pulsed with waves of power that strained his instruments. Emergency protocols activated instantly. Alerts were dispatched to every major military installation across the solar system. Dr. Warren's coffee mug clattered to the floor as the lab's sensors screamed warnings of massive energy discharges. She ran to the observation window and froze. The gate's crystal facade shimmered with living patterns of light. Ancient symbols, never before recorded, blazed across its massive surface. Energy readings soared as the structure's activity intensified. Jake coordinated with military commanders across Earth and the colonies, attempting to interpret the anomaly. The gate was no longer merely glowing. It was singing, broadcasting harmonic frequencies detectable by every radio telescope in human space. Haunting, beautiful, alien. President Clark entered the White House Situation Room to find advisors already assembled. General Patricia Stone coordinated deep space monitoring, while Dr. Kevin Hart attempted to decode the gate's energy signatures. Breakthrough came when Jake's long-range sensors detected movement in the outer solar system. What appeared as drifting asteroids or debris was revealed as coordinated craft, generating their own energy signatures. Refined sensor readings confirmed it. Spacecraft. Dozens emerged from hidden positions across the solar system. Dr. Warren gasped at their designs. Human, yet unlike anything in Earth's official fleet. Hulls far larger and more advanced than known technology, bearing markings unrecognized yet unmistakably human. Encrypted signals filled the communication channels as the mysterious fleet began coordination with Earth Defense Station Alpha. Jake spoke with ship commanders identifying themselves as the Terran Shadow Fleet. Their voices were human, call signs military, yet every record suggested they didn't exist. Suddenly, Admiral Ryan Phillips appeared on the station's main display, via a quantum link impossible with current technology. His weathered, scarred face betrayed years in deep space hardship. Behind him, the bridge of a massive warship loomed, a vessel plucked from fiction, but undeniably real. Phillips's first words shattered everything Jake believed about humanity's place in the cosmos. The Shadow Gate had awakened because something ancient and dangerous stirred between the stars. His fleet had silently protected Earth for decades, fighting battles the public never knew. As more Shadow Fleet vessels decloaked across the solar system, as the Shadow Fleet spread through the solar system, President Clark realized humanity had been living a lie. Half the military budget supposedly devoted to colonial expansion and deep space research had secretly funded the largest covert operation in human history. Ships, weapons, and entire bases had been built beyond the edge of known space. Dr. Warren watched data streams from the Shadow Gate and understood the truth. The structure wasn't merely relic alien technology, it was a warning system, a beacon, designed to activate under specific conditions. The energy patterns weren't random, they were messages, instructions, and above all, a call for help. The night shift at Earth Defense Station Alpha had become the most critical watch humanity had ever maintained. As Jake coordinated between the Shadow Fleet and conventional forces, he realized everything was about to change. The quiet monotony of monitoring empty space was over. Humanity was about to learn they were not alone in a universe far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The emergency council meeting in the White House lasted through the night. Admiral Ryan Phillips revealed truths that shattered Earth's understanding of its expansion into space. Star maps displayed hundreds of secret installations across the galaxy, all under the Terran Shadow Fleet's insignia. Captain Amy Rodriguez commanded the shadow vessel UE Nightfall from a bridge centuries ahead of contemporary design, positioned beyond Pluto in stealth. She had waited 12 years for this moment, ever since volunteering for a mission requiring her official death in a training accident, leaving behind everyone she loved. The truth about humanity's real position in the galaxy was far more terrifying than fiction. Dr. Kevin Hart, working from a classified facility hidden inside a Jupiter orbit asteroid, explained that the galaxy was not empty. Ancient machine intelligences, known as the Devourers, roamed the void between stars, consuming civilizations and leaving lifeless worlds behind. Once a biological species, they had transformed into living constructs of metal and energy, incomprehensible to humans. Admiral Phillips showed recordings of battles fought across distant star systems by the Shadow Fleet for over 2 centuries. Planets stripped of all life and technology, matter converted into fuel for colossal, insatiable creatures. Dead worlds, orbiting cold stars served as grim monuments to lost civilizations. Captain Rodriguez received new orders through the quantum network linking all Shadow Fleet vessels. Return to Earth's system and prepare for humanity's largest military operation. The Nightfall powered its engines silently, moving through dimensions physics said shouldn't exist. The Shadow Gate had been left by the Watchers, the last species to resist the Devourers successfully before humanity evolved. Dr. Warren raced to decode the messages flowing from the ancient structure. Using decades-old translation algorithms, she determined the Watchers had sought a chaotic, unpredictable species to act as guardians for their final warning system. President Clark struggled to absorb the implications. Budget reports showing allocations for colonial development had been cover for the construction of humanity's secret defense fleet. Entire industries existed to support operations that officially didn't exist. Dr. Hart explained how the Shadow Fleet had leveraged encounters with the Devourers to reverse engineer energy manipulation techniques and advanced defensive systems, creating ships and weapons capable of matching the ancient threat. Personnel files revealed sacrifices that brought tears to hardened commanders. Men and women had vanished from official records, leaving families to mourn false deaths, all to protect humanity from an enemy no one else knew existed. Captain Rodriguez herself had been an experimental test pilot, killed in a shuttle, crashed 12 years ago, witnessing in secret as her family mourned. The Devourers had lain dormant for millennia, digesting the energy and knowledge of countless worlds. But now, scouts were probing the edges of human space. Shadow Fleet hit-and-run attacks had bought precious time, yet the main force was stirring. Admiral Phillips explained that the Shadow Gate functioned as a dimensional anchor, maintaining barriers between normal space and the Devourer's void. The gate's activation meant the barriers were weakening. The ancient enemy had detected signs of advanced civilizations in Earth's sector. Dr. Warren's analysis indicated humanity might have only weeks before scouts reached the solar system. Full disclosure of the Shadow Fleet was authorized. The secret maintained for over 2 centuries would finally be revealed. Humanity's chaotic, unpredictable nature was its greatest weapon against an enemy that had conquered 1,000 worlds. General Patricia Stone coordinated with Shadow Fleet commanders, initiating humanity's largest mobilization. Hidden ships emerged from asteroid fields and beyond Pluto, their cloaking systems powering down to reveal the full scope of Earth's secret defenses. The return of the Shadow Fleet marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Humanity's Guardians were coming home to prepare for a battle that would determine not only Earth's fate, but the survival of conscious life throughout the galaxy. The first Shadow Fleet vessel to decloak near Earth was the UES Reaper, a massive battle cruiser, materializing from nothing like a ghost made solid. General Stone watched from the Pentagon's war room as sensors struggled to process its scale, over 3 kilometers long, bristling with unknown weaponry. Commander Tony Blake piloted his stealth fighter through the asteroid belt, leading a HFY squadron capable of phasing between dimensions. His death certificate had been filed 15 years prior after a supposed shuttle crash. His family had moved on, yet he had spent every day since protecting them unknowingly. Hidden bases across the solar system revealed themselves as decades of secrecy ended. On Pluto's dark side, massive underground shipyards powered up for the first time in years, carved from solid rock with equipment that didn't exist, producing vessels the size of cities. Senator Maria Gonzalez demanded answers from President Clark about how such an enormous operation had been kept hidden. Budget reports had shown funding for exploration and colonial infrastructure, but in reality, it had all gone to constructing humanity's secret military fleet. Dr. Sharon Williams worked frantically aboard Shadow Fleet command ships, analyzing 2 centuries of data on the Devourers, preparing for the inevitable confrontation that would decide the galaxy's fate. The ancient enemy defied all human understanding of biology and technology. Existing as pure energy patterns, the Devourers could inhabit and control any form of organized matter, from simple machines to entire planets. Admiral Ryan Phillips directed Shadow Fleet movements from his flagship, UES Sovereign, a vessel that doubled as warship and mobile research station. Its quantum processors calculated battle strategies across multiple dimensions simultaneously, giving human forces advantages no conventional tactics could achieve. Every decision had been modeled, in simulations accounting for variables beyond ordinary perception. The revelation of humanity's true military strength shocked the colonies. Mining operations on distant asteroids had concealed weapons production. Research stations had quietly developed technology decades ahead of public knowledge. Captain Helen Foster commanded the UES Phantom, a reconnaissance vessel capable of years-long deep space missions without detection. Her ship monitored Devourer movements in far-off star systems, transmitting intelligence instantly through quantum communication networks. The information she collected had allowed the Shadow Fleet to prepare for battles most humans would never know had occurred. The full scale of the secret operation became apparent as additional facilities revealed themselves. Jupiter's moons housed laboratories pushing the boundaries of physics. Saturn's rings contained automated manufacturing plants producing advanced weapons and ship components for decades without human oversight. Lieutenant Colonel Gary Mitchell readied his experimental fighter, designed to phase in and out of normal space while engaging enemies existing in multiple dimensions. His aircraft carried weapons capable of disrupting matter at a molecular level, developed from studying fragments of destroyed Devourer scouts. Returning Shadow Fleet personnel brought stories of battles fought in the cold void, conflicts where entire civilizations' fates hung in the balance. Volunteers gave up identities, families, and homes to protect humanity from threats conventional forces could not face. Dr. Kevin Hart revealed that Shadow Fleet technology operated on principles barely understood by conventional science. Ships manipulated space and time, created artificial gravity fields, and deployed energy weapons that altered the fundamental forces of matter. Every breakthrough had emerged from reverse engineering alien tech and combining it with human innovation. Automated. Defense platforms in the Kuiper Belt had monitored for Devourer activity for over 50 years. Equipped with sensors capable of detecting energy patterns across vast distances, these installations provided early warning, giving humanity precious preparation time. President Clark addressed the world, revealing threats most citizens could never have imagined. The calm, orderly universe they believed in was a lie. Ancient enemies roamed between stars, consuming civilizations and leaving lifeless worlds in their wake. The Shadow Fleet's return to the solar system marked the end of humanity's innocence, and the beginning of their role as guardians of conscious life throughout the galaxy. Admiral Phillips explained to the Emergency Council that the Devourers threatened all organized existence. Senator Gonzalez struggled to grasp how democratic oversight had been bypassed to construct such a massive military operation secretly. The answer lay in humanity's greatest strength, the ability to compartmentalize knowledge and work toward long-term goals even when individuals did not see the full picture. As Shadow Fleet vessels assumed defensive positions, advanced sensors detected ominous energy signatures approaching from the galactic core, moving at impossible speeds toward Earth's region. The era of secrets was ending. Humanity faced its greatest test. 3 days after the Shadow Gate fully activated, the first Devourer scout entered the solar system, moving like a living nightmare of twisted metal and dark energy. Captain Helen Foster observed from the UE Phantom as it emerged from hyperspace, stretching over 50 kilometers, pulsating with malevolent intelligence, defying every law of physics humans understood. Dr. Sharon Williams analyzed sensor data aboard the command ship, struggling to comprehend how such a massive entity moved without generating expected gravitational effects. Admiral Phillips coordinated the fleet's response, knowing that first contact would determine humanity's survival. The scout scanned planets and moons with energy beams capable of detecting everything, from radio transmissions to industrial molecular signatures. Commander Tony Blake led a stealth fighter squadron within visual range of the creature. His ships bent light and space to remain invisible. What he saw would haunt him forever. The Devourer was not a machine, but a fusion of organic tissue and artificial systems, its surface writhing with tentacles of living metal, sampling the solar wind and analyzing distant worlds. Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell prepared his experimental fighter for humanity's first offensive against the ancient enemy. Quantum torpedoes phased through normal matter to detonate within the Devourer's core structures. At 1,400 hours, 12 stealth fighters emerged from dimensional hiding and launched their weapons simultaneously. The ensuing battle. President Clark addressed the world, revealing the Shadow Fleet, the approaching ancient enemy, and humanity's role as the galaxy's unlikely guardians. His words reached billions across colonies and outposts, uniting humanity in the face of annihilation. Dr. Lisa Warren worked frantically as the Shadow Gate pulsed with increasing intensity. Its crystal surface now blazed with light patterns painful to view. She realized the gate was more than a warning system. It was a weapon of unimaginable power, requiring a specific activation signal only human consciousness could provide. As Earth's conventional forces joined the battle alongside previously hidden vessels, Commander Jake Morrison coordinated communications from his station, watching fighter squadrons and battleships take positions planned decades in advance. Humanity's home system was about to witness a fight for survival where failure meant extinction. Captain Rodriguez led the first wave, Nightfall diving through dimensional space to strike the Devourer's flanks. The battle near Jupiter's orbit was unlike anything in human history, with ships phasing across dimensions while engaging enemies present in multiple realities simultaneously. Dr. Kevin Hart monitored the engagement, working to activate the Shadowgate's weapon systems. The structure responded to human thoughts and emotions, but required more than random activity. The Devourers struck with energy beams capable of disrupting matter at the atomic level. Several Shadowfleet vessels were destroyed in the first hour, crews sacrificing themselves to buy time for Earth's population. Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell realized the key to victory lay in embracing human chaos. Squadrons executed patterns that violated every military rule, seemingly random yet effective against an enemy that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Commander Blake led stealth fighters in hit-and-run attacks, exploiting humanity's unpredictability. The Devourers could counter logic, but not true chaos. The turning point came when Dr. Warren discovered that the Shadowgate required activation by collective human consciousness. She broadcast instructions to every communication network, urging billions to focus on transformation and change. President Clark addressed humanity again, inviting all to participate in a coordinated mental effort never attempted before. Across Earth and its colonies, meditation centers, schools, homes, and workplaces synchronized, creating chaotic yet focused mental energy. The Shadowgate resonated, its crystal structure pulsing with new energy as billions of minds worked in unison while retaining their individual unpredictability. Admiral Phillips coordinated the final battle phase. Activation cascaded dimensional energy across the solar system. The Devourer's rigid energy patterns began to break down under the influence of truly chaotic human thought. Captain Rodriguez watched as the enemy changed rather than being destroyed. For the first time in millions of years, the Devourers experienced the possibility of growth and transformation instead of endless consumption and conquest. Dr. Sharon Williams studied the energy readings and realized humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had not destroyed their ancient enemy. They had transformed it. By exposing the Devourers to patterns of consciousness that encouraged growth and change, humans had replaced static existence with evolution. The battle concluded not with explosions and annihilation, but with a sight more beautiful than any human had ever witnessed. The Devourers' rigid metal forms softened and diversified, becoming more organic as they learned the meaning of growth and transformation rather than endless consumption. Commander Tony Blake returned to Earth aboard a Shadowfleet vessel that was no longer secret. At the military base, crowds of civilians cheered for the heroes who had protected them in silence for decades. His years of sacrifice had finally ended, and he could return to the family who had mourned him for so long. For 15 years, the Shadowgate remained active, a bridge between dimensions and a symbol of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Earth shared its chaotic wisdom with other civilizations emerging from hiding, teaching that true strength often lies in embracing uncertainty and change rather than imposing order. The galaxy had been saved by the most unlikely guardians, a species whose greatest weakness, chaos and unpredictability, had become their greatest strength. Humanity now stood ready to defend conscious life across the universe, proving that even the most ancient and powerful enemies could be overcome through ingenuity, courage, and the unpredictable nature of the human spirit.